Ladies and gentlemen of the Sheridan community, welcome to this little in-depth dive into my favorite Greek, other than Dino, of course, which is Vega. And we're going to start this little presentation based on a lot of the conversations I've had in Discord with people who tune into the half calf and listen to everybody talking about, oh, we're looking for short Vega trades, long Vega trades are working, short Vega trades aren't, etc., etc. And some of you, unfortunately, have no idea what Vega is or how it applies to your trading. So we're going to go through a quick refresher into Vega and a couple of takeaways for you and some really cool examples. I hope you enjoy it. Let's start with the basics, and more importantly, the etymology of long and short. Now, what this is the two phrases to be long stock or short stock. To be short means to be a short seller of the product. And that came out first because people used to buy stock and then someone went, hang on, I'd like to sell some stock and make some money if that stock goes down. So they were referred to as a short seller. I won't go into the technical nonsense in the background of it, but to be short is a short seller of a product. And then they came up with long, which is just the opposite of short. No idea why. They just went, okay, well, if we're short of stock, the opposite of short is long, so we're now long Microsoft, long the SPX, long product XYZ. That's how the etymology popped up. Now, a short position increases in value the more the underlying price moves down, because what you want to do is you sold the stock at $100, you want to buy it back at $90, and you make the $10 in between. With the long position, the exact opposite happens. You bought the stock at $100, you want it to go to $110, and you make the $10 in between. So if you're long Microsoft, you make money if the stock goes up. If you're short Microsoft, you make money if the stock goes down. Now, let's pump in a Greek to this. So everyone knows delta. Delta is the founding father of the Greeks that we use day in and day out. If you are long delta, the position value you have, be it a spread, a naked put, a complex spread, a bunch of spreads. But if you're long delta, your value or the position value goes up if the underlying price goes up. And we call this a long delta position. I am long Microsoft. I'm long 10 deltas of Microsoft. I'm long 50 deltas of Microsoft. I am long a particular position. The opposite, of course, position goes up if the underlying price goes down. I'm short the SPX, I'm short Apple, I'm short Cisco. We call it a short delta position. People say they're short SPX, people will say they're short a number of SPX. But that's how we go. Short delta, long delta, all makes perfect sense. Now let's give an example of this. We use Apple. And in this position, we are long, as you can see by the price slices, $8.22. So if Apple goes up $1, we make $8. If Apple goes down $1, we lose $8. Pretty straightforward, great Greek to have, very easy to understand. But the little trick with delta is that the values change, so does the delta. So if Apple, for example, drops 2%, all of a sudden we're long $8.50. We make $8.50 if it goes up, we lose $8.50 if it goes down. Conversely, if it goes up 2%, that delta value goes down. So when you have a Greek such as delta, it is dynamic. It will change as the underlying price changes. And as you can see by this, all the Greeks change depending on the underlying price. Greeks are not static. Now, most of you newbies out there will know what delta is, and you're thinking, I'm going to hedge for my delta, I'm going to adjust my delta, I'm going to look at everything on my portfolio under delta. It ain't that simple. You can't just use delta. All of the Greeks come to give you the option price. It's not just delta, there are others. Not just delta, there are others. Let's go a quick refresher and go through the big four ones. The obvious one we've just done, delta, a change in the option price resulting from a change in the underlying security. You can be anything from 0 to 100 or 0 to minus 100 for put spreads. Pretty straightforward. We all know delta. It's the first thing you learn on page 2 of I'm Going to Be an Option Trader book. The next one, gamma. Not that important. I don't use it that much unless you use longer sort of term options. What it is, it's measuring the volatility of delta. It just tells you how much delta is going to move. If you're more interested in this, it's out of the scope of this document because the main one we're getting to, but gamma can be looked up anywhere and there's heaps of videos out there to explain gamma to you. Not a big part of my trading, not a big part of our trading to be honest, but let's go to the fun one, which is theta. It's the amount of time decay. Now, as a newbie option trader, the first thing you learn is delta, and the second thing you learn is theta, or maybe the other way around. But theta is the bit that tells you how much money you make by sitting around with your cash, leaving it in the position. In this particular one, I'm making 12 cents a day. Just a case, it's the insurance policy. Now we get to the fun one, Vega. Vega measures the risk based on changes in implied volatility underneath. So, let's have a look at what that means. It measures the risk based on changes in implied volatility of the underlying asset price. So what delta is to price, Vega is to volatility. The value references the change in the option price when IV goes up and down. So you can have a particular product that may be at $100, and if their IV is at 20 and the IV goes down to 18, the price of the option will change due to Vega. The same way if you had a delta change. If the price changes, the option price changes. If the Vega changes or the volatility changes, the price changes. They both move the price of the option. The different strategies you have or the different strategies you pick as part of the community all have different Vega profiles. If I was to take something such as a butterfly, a condor, a strangle, short puts and calls, they are short Vega. That means if volatility crushes, as it's sometimes called, or volatility goes down, or the VIX goes down, or the volatility of that particular stock goes down, the price of your position will increase just due to volatility. The price can stay the same, but if the volatility goes down, those kinds of positions will make a little bit of extra cash. Conversely, the opposite side of the fence are the double diagonals, the long puts, and the calls. These are long Vega. They make money if volatility goes up. So the stock may have earnings coming up, for example. And when earnings are coming, that particular product, let's pick Apple or Microsoft, once earnings are out, the volatility drops. So therefore, when you do an earnings trade, you only want to be doing these kinds of short Vega trades. That's a great application of Vega in a practical way. Earnings, short Vega only. Now, later on in your trading careers, you will learn that some strategies can be both. If the stock price goes up, there'll be short Vega. If the stock price goes down, there'll be long Vega. There are some weird and wacky strategies out there that do allow that to happen, so keep that in the back of your head. Now, Vega, the Greek that kills you. So we'll get more into this in a minute, but I'm going to show you the same application we had for delta in that previous slide can be done here. I can call a trade long Vega the same way I can call a trade long delta. I can call a trade short Vega the same way I can call a position short delta. They're the same things, we're just referring to different Greeks. So with long Vega trades, the position Vega goes up if the underlying IV goes up, and short Vega trades, the position Vega goes up if the underlying IV goes down. And the same words we use for short delta, long delta, we can use for short Vega, long Vega. The terminology is the same, we're just referring to a different Greek. Now, let's go on to the big stuff. When would you consider Vega? Anyone? Anyone? Every goddamn time. It is the first thing you think of when planning a trade. Before you even sit there and go, what am I buying? What delta? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? The first thing you should do is go, where's the VIX? Because if you don't know where the VIX is, you don't know if it's going up, you don't know if the VIX is going down, you don't know if we've just had a big burst of VIX, or we've had a little bit of a crush of VIX. If you don't have that in your head, you don't know which position to pick. First thing you do before you put on a position, every single time, for every single trade, please look at the VIX and then work out what position you're going to use. And that's why you can see people in the community going, short Vega trades are working, long Vega trades aren't. What type of trade will work here? Is it a long Vega? Is it a short Vega? That's the terminology you will hear in the half cap and also in the afternoon trades as well. Vega and delta are just the Greeks, and we're just using the terminology. So the first thing you should do before picking a particular strategy is go, where's the VIX? And then you've got a nice basis to work out what strategy to use, when to use it, and how to implement it. So, think I'm being dramatic? Let's go into this because this is the big eye opener. Delta, which is the bit you guys all know about, dictates whether or not you're going to make or lose money. Okay, we call it price risk. You'll hear Dan call it price risk all the time. This is the price risk. Oh, if the stock moves $3, I'll lose $5 if the stock moves. It's price risk. Vega dictates if you're going to keep the account open. I'll let that sit for a minute. Vega dictates if you get to keep the account open. When I said Vega is the Greek that kills you, Vega is the Greek that kills you. Anyone who's lost their account or woken up with the VIX at 30 or 40 and looked at their account and, hey, I had a 40 grand account, now there's 12 grand in it, I don't know where my money is. Vega is what did that. Vega dictates whether or not you get to keep trading. Very difficult to go and run out of money when you're only dealing with delta. When Vega gets going, it will move the price so much more than delta by a factor of many, many numbers. It is, in my opinion, the most important Greek, but that's my opinion because I trade volatility. So let's have a little example to see whether or not I'm talking nonsense. Let's go back to early August 2024. It's August 1. The SPX is at 54.79. The SPX put options at the 30 delta on the 13th of August expiry is trading right now at 32, let's say 33 bucks. $33, and you go and sell that option, let's say naked. On August 6th, that put option was 190 bucks. In fact, $195. It went up by a value of 600%. The actual underlying SPX dropped 250 points. It dropped 2%. You get 2% drops a couple of times a year. It just went up by a factor of 6. That's Vega. That's what volatility does to the price of an option. What about that naked 10 delta put I sold? And as a person who was doing this at the time of August 5, I can vouch for this. So August 1, the 52.45 put, which is a 10 delta put, was selling for $9.50. On August 6, it was trading for $90. That's 1,000% increase. My $10 put, or my $9.50 10 delta put, just went up by a factor of 10. You're awake now, aren't you? Welcome to Vega. Nothing can take you out of the game like Vega. There's nothing there. Delta, I lost 200 points. 200 points times a delta of 5. Oh, I'm out of pocket $1,000. Not like this. Any naked put positions will explode, absolutely explode when there's a VIX spike. And you'll get them a couple of times a year, as we said. And this is the reason why naked options are not a good vehicle for new traders. Most people who trade will look at naked options as a great way to trade because it's very easy to synthetically move that into stock. Fair enough, that's a wheel trade, that's different. When you're trading a cash index or an SPX index, which has the volatility behind it, naked options are not a good option. They're not a really good option at all unless you understand Vega and you've been doing this for a long, long time. So, what about spreads? The limited risk in spreads is a big advantage. A couple of reasons why. The first thing is that it just is a delta risk now. You know how much you can lose if it all falls apart. And more importantly, you get to stay in the game. So if it bounces back a couple of days later, like it did on August 5, you don't lose as much money. You don't have the margin calls. You don't wake up with nothing in your account. So spreads are a much better option to do it. And you can structure your spreads to have limited risk all the time and still make a good income. My double diagonals at the moment are making $180 per day on a single contract. I don't think you can even do that with naked puts. So let's have an example, just to force this into you. Let's say 80 grand in margin. We're going to sell a single SPX contract. It's going to be the 10 delta put. We're going to sell it 45 days out, and we're going to roll it at 21 days. So you're going to be in the trade, let's say about 20 days, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, but around 20 days. What we're going to do is just roll it with 21 days to go and rinse and repeat it all through 2024. This is what happened. You made money on every single cycle till August. You collected on 9 or 10 cycles, just depending on how much the stock market moved, and you made $1,300 on every cycle for that single put you sold. 13 grand in your pocket, sitting there. You're thinking you're just a trading god. You found the holy grail. Everything's fantastic. Then August 5 comes along. That single SPX put is now a $29,000 loss, and the market only dropped 200 points, or 2%. So a 2% drop, you just lost 30 grand, or 3 times what you made in the previous 10 cycles. Welcome to Vega. Delta didn't help this position, but Vega's the one that took you out. That is the power of Vega. So, I've done the Joffrey thing, and I've scared the crap out of you on Vega and how powerful it can be and how you can wake up one morning with no money, no house, and no family. How do you protect yourself? This is where the experience bit comes in. Apply all the knowledge you have of Delta and just put it to Vega. Everything you do with Delta can apply to Vega. I went back the last 25 years and I averaged it out and found there were 2 VIX implosions a year. Sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's 4, sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 1 again, sometimes there's even none, 2017. For example, I think there's 1 this year, there's 2 last year, there's 4 in 2022. Let's say an average of 2. So 2 times a year, you're going to get a VIX up at around 30, 35. Understand what strategy has what kind of Vega. And then make sure you hedge for Vega as well as Delta. Everyone looks at Delta, I'm hedging Delta, I'm hedging Delta. Hedge for Vega as well. And you don't have to do it straight up. You can if you like, but just do it with strategy selection. Your position sizing. Understand just how big small is. You can also do a dedicated Vega hedge. Myself, I use a put spread, way out of the money put spread, about 500 wide, and that's my Vega hedge against my naked positions. So I use a put spread to do it. You can buy an out of the money put, because remember, if you own the out of the money put that's at $9, you make a 10 bagger as soon as the thing drops. Timing that's a little bit difficult, but you can also have a naked put sitting out there in the background as an insurance policy. The one thing I will stress though, and this comes from experience, is that SVXY, UVXY, and those kinds of products are not hedges. They aren't. They are speculative vehicles. The cost of carry of those particular products is so high, you will just bleed money and the hedge won't cover you. SVXY and UVXY is for purchasing when you think something bad is going to happen. For example, if you look at the history and realize that somewhere between July and August, there's always a down move, and you can buy SVXY for those particular months in the hope that you're going to get a VIX explosion. That's what those are for, speculative vehicles. They are not hedges. More importantly on this, as you learn how to trade, learn how to adjust your strategy to adjust Vega. And you can do this and keep all the other values similar. Dan is an absolute legend at this, and I bow down in front of him for his skill with this. The ability to go to a double diagonal and make a couple of changes just to bring your Vega exposure down. And also you can do the same thing with broken wing butterflies. The 60-70 works different to a 60-70 to a 70-65, etc., etc. Understands which strategies work and how Vega and the other Greeks apply. Lastly, the big one, position sizing is everything. Tony Batista said it right. You don't know how big small is. One single SPX put, 29 grand loss. Captain one lot, one SPX put, 30 grand out a window in 1 month. Position sizing is everything. Understand your risk. Risk is what keeps you in the game. Takeaways. Let's go through them. So when you hear us talk about long Vega, short Vega trades, understand it's the same as saying long delta trades, short delta trades. The same application can be played to all the Greeks, but most of us will talk about the Vega first. Vega trades, what kind of Vega trades are working. Just think long and short can be applied to all the Greeks, including Vega. The long Vega trades benefit when VIX goes up. The short Vega trades benefits when VIX goes down. Pretty straightforward. Terminology may have scared a few of you back in the half-calf sessions. Position sizing is 95% of the battle. It really is. Learn your position sizing and learn how much you need to risk to make the money you need to earn. And then, as a new trader, start small. Learn your strategies and their respective Greeks. Learn how they react and learn what happens when you have to fight it. Because there are some trades out there you really get a great lesson when you have to fight it. Hedge Vega the same way you hedge Delta. Don't have 15 butterflies on. Have 5 butterflies on, 5 calendars, a double diagonal, and a couple of iron condors, because all those trades are different Vega values and different Delta values. Most of the time we're going to be Delta neutral or somewhere near a 0 Delta, but the Vega bid is what's going to take you out, so make sure you hedge the Vega the same way you do the Delta, and this will allow you, which is the number one rule, make sure you stay in the game and you keep the doors open. It's a business. Ladies and gentlemen, that's me done. I hope you've learned something from tonight's little presentation. I know a bit of it was scary, but I believe if you take the idea of Vega and apply it to your trading, it's going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars, because it is the scariest Greek. It is the one that takes you out. It is the one that closes your account, because you just don't understand how much a stock can move. And we've seen that with August this year with some of our community members who have been hit quite hard. And the understanding of Vega and being able to hedge that is really important. So stay safe out there, and I look forward to talking to you in the Discord or online. Have a great day.